Every evening, just before darkness takes over, this man sprays alcohol across the front door of his house. As soon as he steps inside, the first thing he does is thoroughly clean his loyal dog, Sam. The moment the sun begins to set, he moves fast, locking heavy, custom-made steel plates over every door and window, sealing the house completely. But even after all that preparation, the silence inside the darkened house brings him no comfort at all. In the end, gripping his rifle tightly, he curls up inside the bathtub with Sam. That's the only place where he feels even a little safe. And there's a terrifying reason behind these extreme precautions. Because the moment night falls, the world outside no longer belongs to humans. The streets become overrun by packs of deadly zombie-like creatures that roam freely in the darkness, spreading terror wherever they go. Nearly 5 years ago, a lethal virus swept across the planet, bringing civilization to its knees. About 90% of humanity was wiped out, while nearly 8% were transformed into these savage beings. They fear sunlight, only come out at night, and possess an unnaturally sharp sense of smell. Our protagonist, Will, is one of the rare survivors, part of a tiny fraction of people whose bodies contain extremely powerful antibodies. Fewer than 2% of the world's population shares this immunity. During the day, Will races through the empty streets of the abandoned city in his Ford Mustang. At one point, he's seen chasing a deer through an open field in the heart of the city. In a world like this, where he's almost completely alone, food has become the most basic and most critical need. But just as he gets close to his prey, a lioness suddenly lunges in and traps the deer. For a brief moment, Will considers shooting her. Then, a lion and its cub appear. Seeing the three of them together reminds him of the family he lost. He lowers his weapon, knowing these animals are still maintaining nature's balance. Before heading out to search for other survivors, Will visits his underground medical lab. There, he checks to see whether the mutant rats have shown any improvement after treatment. At first, nothing seems different. In truth, Will is a brilliant scientist who has developed a gene therapy-based vaccine to fight the virus. Just when he's about to give up on the day, he notices something. One of the rats is no longer as aggressive as before. That's when he realizes the treatment is slowly working. And if this experiment succeeds completely, he might be able to turn these zombie-like creatures back into human beings. During the daytime, Will leaves his house every morning at exactly 8 a.m., searching for any remaining survivors and tracking the hideouts of these dangerous creatures. He often drives to a video rental store, where he rearranges the mannequins and talks to them as if they were real people. It's a quiet but disturbing reminder of how deeply isolation can break the human mind. Every location he visits is carefully marked on his map, while food and essential supplies are gathered along the way. Each day, precisely at noon, Will makes a radio broadcast, holding on to the hope that someone, anyone, might still be out there listening. Chasing that faint possibility, he drives all the way to the docks, but even after 3 long years, no one has ever answered his call. To distract himself from the crushing loneliness, Will heads to an aircraft carrier later in the day. Climbing onto a parked fighter jet, he casually practices his golf swing, completely alone. But suddenly, Sam senses something off. Movement flickers in the distance. Will instantly goes on alert. He raises his rifle, peers through the scope, and realizes it's a deer. Seeing his chance, he doesn't hesitate, taking off after it with Sam by his side. Then everything goes wrong. As it runs, the deer accidentally traps itself inside a restricted area and, in sheer panic, darts into an abandoned building. Sam, who hasn't had real meat in a long time, rushes in after it without thinking. Will tries to stop him, but it's already too late. Panic sets in. He can't bring himself to leave his dog behind. With no other choice, Will forces himself to enter the building as well. Inside, the place is swallowed by darkness. He can barely see a thing. The deadly silence presses in from all sides, sending chills down his spine. His heart is pounding so hard that even a shadow or a reflection could make him flinch. As he moves upward, desperately calling for Sam, a sudden scream of pain echoes through the building. Fear tightens its grip on him, and a horrifying thought crosses his mind that something terrible may have happened to his dog. Steeling himself, Will pushes forward. Following a trail of blood along the stairs, he reaches a corner and freezes. A severed animal's head lies in front of him. His heart nearly stops, but moments later he realizes it belongs to a moose that was killed not long ago. Even so, the terror frozen on its face in its final moments is impossible to ignore. The moment Will sees this, he raises his gun and scans the area. That's when he notices something even more horrifying. A pack of zombie-like creatures is lurking less than 5 meters away. Summoning every ounce of courage for his dog, Will pushes deeper inside. Eventually, he finds Sam hiding beneath a table, trembling in fear. Just as Will steps forward to call out to him, Sam's eyes suddenly lock onto something behind Will. Something feels wrong. The instant Will turns around, a terrifying sight stands right in front of him. Realizing the danger, he grabs Sam and sprints toward the exit in pure panic. But luck fails them once again, and they fall straight into the zombie's path. At the last possible second, Will dives through a darkened window. The moment sunlight hits the creature, it instantly weakens and collapses to the ground. The experience is deeply traumatic, but it gives Will something critical in return. He's just discovered one of the zombies' hideouts. Now, Will decides to experiment on them. Outside, he sets up a trap and places a vial of his own blood at the entrance of the building, then hides nearby to observe. Shockingly, within just 2.5 minutes, a zombie is drawn straight into the trap. As the mechanism activates, a living zombie is forcibly dragged out into the open. But suddenly, a furious roar echoes through the area. A horrifying zombie with a rage-filled face appears, as if it wants to tear Will apart on the spot.
Even Will can't understand why this particular creature is so uncontrollably violent. Back home, he throws himself completely into his experiments, unaware that the female zombie he has captured is actually the mate of the very zombie leader whose roar he just heard. With her capture, the conflict between humans and zombies finally comes into the open. Until now, Will believed he was the last human alive in the city, but one day he witnesses something that shakes him to his core. He sees a mannequin's head move. What's even more disturbing is that the same mannequin, normally standing at the entrance of the video store, has somehow appeared several kilometers away. Will has no explanation for how it got there. Instantly alert, he draws his weapon and aims at the mannequin. A single thought crosses his mind. Maybe another survivor is trying to contact him. But no matter how far he looks, there isn't a single human in sight. Slowly, the truth sinks in. This is a trap. The zombie leader has deliberately set it as revenge for capturing his partner. As Will approaches the mannequin and bends down to inspect the water pooled beneath it, the hidden mechanism suddenly activates. He's yanked into the air and left hanging upside down. A brutal blow to the head knocks him unconscious on the spot. As the sun nears the horizon, the sound of his alarm clock pulls him back to consciousness, and as daylight fades, darkness spreads, bringing the deadly zombies out with it. Panicking, Will pulls a knife from his belt and desperately tries to cut the rope tied around his leg, but the moment he hits the ground, the blade plunges into his body, making everything even worse. And above him, the sun's final rays are seconds away from disappearing. Suddenly, terrifying sounds echo from the dark building ahead. The zombie leader steps into view and releases 3 vicious hunting dogs. For a brief moment, the remaining sunlight keeps them at bay, but within minutes, the sun vanishes completely, and the dogs charge like wild beasts. Will's life now hangs by a thread.
The only thing keeping him connected to life is his German Shepherd, the companion who stood by him through every step of this nightmare. His greatest fear isn't death itself, but the thought of losing his dog. Then he remembers the pistol inside his car. Badly injured, Will begins crawling toward it, but as darkness deepens, the dogs grow more aggressive. Time is slipping through his fingers. Forcing himself up through the pain, he stumbles forward, only to collapse again after a few steps. At that exact moment, the vicious dogs leap at him. Will fires his weapon, managing to hold them back, but suddenly another zombie dog lunges straight at his face. Its razor-sharp teeth are inches away from tearing him apart, when Sam jumps in at the very last second, saving his life. But then comes the real horror. During the struggle, one of the zombie dogs has bitten Sam. Will's heart sinks instantly. He knows the truth. Those powerful antibodies exist only in his body, not in his dog's. The moment they reach home, Will injects Sam with antiviral serum and pulls him close, holding on to the faint hope that somehow he'll survive. He forces a smile, trying to convince himself that his loyal companion will be okay. But moments later, Sam's fur begins to fall out. When Will gently opens his eyes, the signs of infection are unmistakable, visible in his gaze, his face, and every movement he makes. Will is shattered.
Yet reality leaves him no choice but to make a decision more painful than anything he's ever faced. With a heavy heart and trembling hands, he lets go of the one companion who stood by him through countless lonely and terrifying nights. After that moment, something inside Will breaks completely. From then on, he is never the same again. Around this time, another disturbing thought begins to haunt Will. He can't understand how humans infected by the virus lose almost all ability to think. How are these creatures setting traps so precise, so calculated?
But the moment his eyes drift to the seat beside him and he realizes Sam is no longer there, the pain becomes unbearable. That same night, fueled by rage and a shattered heart, Will gets into his car and drives straight toward the harbor. Without thinking twice, he begins attacking the zombies. Being inside the car protects him at first, but their numbers keep growing. Slowly, they surround the vehicle, slamming against the windows from every direction. Some of them climb nearby lampposts and hurl themselves down onto the car. The impact traps the vehicle in place, leaving Will completely stuck inside. Seeing the crowd closing in, he tries to escape in a panic, but even more zombies arrive. At that moment, the zombie leader signals the attack. Before Will can react, another violent collision flips the car onto its side, throwing him face to face with those monstrous figures. Now he's no different from a deer caught in a trap. Death inches closer with every passing second. Then suddenly, a blinding light appears, as if someone is walking toward him. But fear, exhaustion, and pain have pushed him past his limit. Will loses consciousness on the spot. When he finally opens his eyes, he finds himself lying inside his own home. His injured leg has been carefully bandaged. Nearby, he sees a woman and a small child beside her. For Will, the moment feels unreal. After 3 long years, he's looking at another human being. He doesn't even remember how to speak to people anymore. A short while later, the woman introduces herself. Her name is Anna. She explains that she heard Will's voice on the radio. Holding on to that hope, she traveled to New York with the child and waited for him all day. When he never showed up, she planned to head to Vermont, where rumors spoke to the safe zone for humans. The moment Will hears this, anger flashes across his face. He bluntly tells her the truth. There is no safe place left. America is finished. The entire country has collapsed. Anna tries to argue, but Will suddenly snaps at both of them.
For years, he had believed he was the last man alive on Earth. That belief placed an unbearable psychological burden on his mind. In despair, he clung only to science and logic, pouring all his strength into finding a cure for the virus. His entire life and every shred of hope he had revolved around that single goal. But Anna's words shake his world. She tells him there are other survivors out there. And suddenly, Will realizes that his years of loneliness and his relentless struggle may not have been in vain after all. For the first time in years, a living human stands before him, someone who could become his reason to hope again. For a long time, Will sits alone in his room, struggling with his emotions and inner conflict. Eventually, he accepts the truth and steps outside. Anna tries to convince him to come with them to the quarantine zone, but Will flatly refuses. He makes it clear he will never leave this place. Later, Anna enters his lab. When she sees the female zombie frozen in ice, she can hardly believe her eyes. She asks Will if he truly thinks these zombies can be cured. Then her attention shifts to the wall, covered with hundreds of photographs. Every image shows a zombie. These are the subjects Will has been experimenting on relentlessly. In his pursuit of a vaccine, he has treated them like lab rats. As the sun's final rays begin to fade, Will rushes to seal every door and window. In the middle of it all, Anna once again pleads with him to leave for the quarantine zone. But before Will can respond, loud and terrifying noises erupt from outside. When he peers through a small window, his blood runs cold. A massive horde of zombies is moving straight toward his house. Will can't believe what he's seeing. He had taken every possible precaution to mask his scent, yet somehow these monsters have found him. The zombies sprint toward the house like maniacs, and then Will realizes the truth. When Anna brought him back here the previous night, she hadn't followed the safety protocols. But there's no time for regret now. Will immediately switches on the high-powered floodlights surrounding the house. But this time, something is different. The zombies, once terrified of light, now seem far more intelligent. One by one, they smash the streetlights, plunging the area back into darkness, then surge forward even faster.
Panicking, Will activates his next line of defense, triggering all the explosives planted around the property. After a series of massive blasts, he looks again. Most of the zombies are gone. Relieved, he calls out to Anna, but there's no response. Growing anxious, Will heads upstairs searching for her. Suddenly, a zombie attacks him. It grabs him with terrifying strength, lifts him off the ground, and slams him onto a table. Helpless, Will endures the assault. The creature assumes he's dead, unaware that Will is holding his breath, playing along. The moment he gets a chance, Will grabs a nearby screwdriver and strikes, but the blow isn't enough. The zombie lifts him again and throws him hard to the floor. Just then, the enraged enraged zombie leader lets out a thunderous roar. In a split second, Will snatches up his rifle, but the leader retreats, moving as if it fully understands the power of human weapons. Will fires in every direction, but the zombie ducks behind the wall. Reading the situation instantly, Will shoots the nearby gas cylinder. A massive explosion erupts, blasting the zombie through the air and sending it crashing outside. Even then, it isn't badly injured. Within seconds, it scrambles up the stairs and disappears. Will chases after it, only to see the creature leap out through a window and escape. Panicked, Will rushes back inside, desperately searching for Anna. That's when he sees it. Another zombie inside the room. Anna and the child are hiding beneath a cabinet, frozen with fear. Will signals them to stay quiet. He raises his pistol, preparing to take the shot, but suddenly, the zombie notices them. To protect Anna and the child, Will has no choice. He gathers his courage, steps forward, and opens fire. At that exact moment, a thunderous noise echoes from outside. As Will opens the door, the zombie leader appears, roaring in fury. He had gone out to gather reinforcements. Now, the situation has turned far more terrifying.
Seeing the leader outside the window, unease spreads through Will's mind. He finally understands the truth. These creatures aren't just mindless beasts. They can think, plan, and strategize. With no time to waste, all three of them rush toward the basement. Will slams the main door shut, while Anna hides with the child in a corner of the lab. Then Anna notices something unbelievable. She urgently calls out to Will. The vaccine is working! The female zombie trapped in ice is slowly turning back into a human. But before they can feel any relief, the zombies break inside. Will quickly seals the glass door. He wants to tell them the truth, that he can turn them all back into humans. But in the zombies' eyes, Will himself is the real monster. He has captured their kind, experimented on them, and worst of all, imprisoned the leader's mate. That's why the entire horde is burning with rage. The zombie leader repeatedly slams into the glass door. With each hit, the barrier grows weaker, and in that moment, Will fully understands his fate. As he looks around one last time, his eyes fall on a butterfly-shaped tattoo on Anna's neck. The instant he sees it, everything clicks. Without hesitation, Will grabs a container and extracts serum from the female zombie. Her blood is the true cure, the antibodies he has been searching for all these years.
When the zombie king draws a butterfly symbol on the lab's glass wall, Will suddenly realizes the truth. They're not here to attack. They've come for one of their own. Anna slowly unlocks the lab door, and Will carefully brings the female zombie out to them. The others look ready to tear him apart, but their leader stops them with a single commanding gesture. Heart pounding, Will injects the serum into the female zombie. Within moments, she regains consciousness. The zombie king gently lifts his wife into his arms. Before leaving, he lets out one final roar at Will. Not just a threat, but a warning. Then, without another move, he turns and disappears into the darkness with the rest of his kind. The next morning, we see Will heading toward the survivor camp with Anna. This time, they're not just running, they're carrying hope. They now have the antidote to the virus, and with that, the story comes to an end.
So, let me know what you guys thought of the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to head over to my channel and check out my other content. Also, drop a comment below letting me know which movie you want me to explain next.